Hey everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. It's Monday. On Mondays, we do tier lists, and on Wednesdays, we wear pink.
So adorable.
Thanks.
That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen.
We just had a brand new Pokemon drop on Eos Island, and in fact, we're gonna have another one here in just a few days. So Dhelmise just hit the game. This is our Dhelmise tier list. We also had a patch that came along with it, so we do have some shakeups here. Let's talk about our tier list real quick. Our God tier, where we only put one Pokemon. We're not friggin' Norse around here. Then we have our Ban This tier. A tier that was so good that they got rid of draft in the game. So this is the draft tier right now. And for that reason, it will be empty, essentially. That's gonna go. We have our S tier. These things are extremely good, high value picks. Our A tier, also really good picks. And for a long time, I've been separating them a bit between like somewhat power level and somewhat how often you would see them banned out. But right now, you're not going to be running in a draft much at all in Unite. I've been playing for the past few days, and I think I've hit maybe one draft game. We've got high B, low A. Still got the high B, low A. Then we have the B tier. Still got the B tier. So when I look at these tiers here, for me, I'm trying to rank Pokemon sort of against each other inside their particular role or use case, right? So when I look at something, for instance, like Crustle, I'm not really comparing it here to Latios, even though I think both of them are kind of in this realm of power, right? Realm of Power, by the way, a great name for a novel. You know those series like a whole bunch of crows or whatever, you know, like a medieval series. Realm of Power, extremely good. We have our C tier, which I would consider the realm of unpower, and then we have our D tier, our Decidueye Memorial tier. A tier named after Decidueye. When it was so bad, it deserved its own tier. So this is the tier list we built last week, or like a week and a half ago from the last patch, and things have shifted a bit, and of course we have Dhelmise added to the game. So I'm going to go through things faster than one of those tier lists because this is already built, and I'll move some things around based on how I feel they are performing in the meta right now. Mewtwo Y, I'm not really moving anywhere. In fact, I'm going to move Mewtwo X down. The old Megas that completely dominated the game seem to have been hurt pretty bad by adding this new Mega Stone to their inventory. Hopefully, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but hopefully we actually get a little bit of a buff to, you know what, I don't even care. Don't buff them. It is what it is. These things gave us nightmares. But yeah, Mewtwo Y and X could use slight buffs to become more relevant. However, I do think in some coordination, both of them could get some use, right? Solo Q, I don't know. They're very rough. C tier, we have Goodra staying there. Magikarp, aka Gyarados. We do have Mega Gyarados on the horizon, it looks like. So I wonder if we're going to be seeing some buffs to this Pokemon overall. I don't like Magikarp in this meta currently. I don't really enjoy it much at all. To me, it feels extremely underwhelming. It's a little better when some of the recent nerfs have come through, but also when you buff things like the EVs, something that takes a while to get online becomes even worse. Azu and Cram. Cramorant is like more useful than Azumarill. I'm going to move it up to the B tier here. Azumarill isn't bad, but there are just so many Pokemon that get released that are as good as it early and way better than it late. So I do think it could use some buffs. Everything in the C tier and below could definitely use buffs. Moving to our B tier, I've got Galarian Rapidash in the B tier. I don't like it. After the nerf, and I know it was small, I just don't think this Pokemon does that much. It just feels like it keeps coming away from fights not getting enough damage. That's how I feel with it all the time. Not moving it. Inteleon, I'm a bit of an Inteleon hater. I don't think it's that great right now, but Snipe Shot is incredibly powerful and with coordination can be strong. Chandelure's fine, but with no mobility, it feels like it gets punished too hard. To be fair, actually, Duraludon is better than this. I'm going to move Duraludon up to our, like, high B, low A tier. I think Duraludon's pretty good, but nobody plays it, so that is what it is. Sylveon recently got some buffs. Sylveon, actually, the weird thing about this Pokemon is it doesn't fill a normal role as an attacker. Sylveon is more of a harasser. Like, it honestly reminds me more of Pokemon like Greedent or something like that than it does Gardevoir, Pikachu, Espeon. So I actually do think it's pretty good, and they buffed it, so it's just better, more difficult to take down, annoying. It might even be slightly better than this. It's weird, though, because if you have it as your only attacker, sometimes I just don't think it outputs enough damage. Guard, Pika, A9, I think these are all good. I just don't really love the super immobile mages in the game currently, and it's because there are some really great Pokemon that have incredible amounts of dive. However, given that we have some nerfs to some of the higher tier things, especially Pokemon like Dodrio, Charizard, that can like dive in on them, they actually might have more value in this meta. None of them are bad. Nothing in the B tier is bad. Tink is, I think, a tough one. Tinkaton and Tyranitar are very similar to me. I'm just going to set them right next to each other. They are really, really good, but require an insane amount of investment. However, if you get that amount of investment, they're actually great. So these ones are kind of tricky. I feel like they are win more Pokemon, and if you get them online, you're having a great time. Phalanx is actually better, probably, considering there's no draft. But boy, I would like them to look at this Pokemon just so people start playing it again. Like I like needing a buff. It's in the C tier, but actually it's pretty good and it bursts really strong. And with no draft, it's way better. With draft, it's a lot worse because your opponents can counter you. Scissor, it's fine. Like all of these Pokemon in the B tier, I would say are situationally pretty dang good. But I don't think they're the most stellar picks in the game. Sword is probably a little better than this. I'm going to move Sword up to our high B, low A. I was wondering if the wide guard nerfs were that detrimental, but I actually think Aegislash is still pretty good. Machamp is kind of in that boat too. Truthfully, the ability to run around like a weirdo and ignore tons of crowd control is extremely good. Like that ability from Machamp is really, really powerful. I don't love Machamp in general, but I do think that is a really strong ability with a really strong Unite move. Okay, the Bears. I'm going to keep Dark Bear here, even though I think its Secure is amazing. I just don't, it doesn't feel as relevant in this meta, with Groudon not being the like end all be all anymore. But I have been underrating Water Bear. I actually think Water Bear is doing pretty dang good. You need to be skilled with it, but if you are, it's doing pretty good. I'm going to move it at least up to our B tier, high B, low A. I might even move it a little higher. Next, we have our high B, low A, which we've been talking about. Meowscarada, I actually think is kind of underwhelming in this meta. You could use some Meow buffs. It's fine. Like, all the speedsters are good carries, but I'm not that impressed with Meowscarada, and I like the Pokemon a lot, and I like the playstyle a lot. I just feel like it's not impactful enough in some of these big moments. Leafeon. Leafeon is a weird one. They buffed the bad build on it, so I bet its win rate is going down. But it's actually still pretty dang good. And in coordinated play, when you can feed experience to this thing could be like A tier. Very, very good. Zeraora's fine. It's okay. It's not bad. It's kind of forgotten, but it's power level. It's like really strong, and once you get experience funneled to it, it's quite good. Same thing with Absol. Absol's kind of forgotten a little bit too. This thing is still very, very strong, but they did nerf like its best move set. So I think hanging out here is fine. I'm going to move Gengar up specifically for the Hex move set, but in solo queue, both Gengar builds are monstrous. You know, you can just kind of bait in bad players with the Dream Eater, Shadow Ball. Not even bad, just like without coordination, they don't know where Gengar is. And if you can't communicate that they, like you saw Gengar over in this bush, or you kind of notice that where they're moving around the map, this thing can just start moving through the entirety of your team. Blastoise. I'm not sold on Blastoise, even though Rapid Spin Hydro Pump seems to be doing well competitively. And I've had some pretty good games with it myself. However, this tier is not bad. It's just not the best Pokemon for the role. And me personally, I don't love Blastoise, but it looks like it's becoming more and more of a thing in comp. So, you know, I could be wrong on this. It's not bad. I just don't. I like other defenders more. Greedent, I'm keeping here because it's great, but only in the hands of a good Greedent and in some wild situations. You don't have the defender you think you have on your team. You need another green background Pokemon, right? Ho-Oh, pretty good. Unite move's great. And yeah, I like it here. I think at one point it was kind of broken. Maybe it's a little higher, but all the defenders are crazy good. Wiggly, Sableye, good in this spot. I think both of them are solid picks. You definitely need to know what you're doing with Sableye or you're useless. But if you do know what you're doing, you're valuable, right? We talked about Sylveon, Duraludon. I think Glaceon's actually being underrated right now, and it was underrated in my last tier list. I'm moving it up to the A tier. This thing is so annoying, and it's so good, and I'm so I do not want to see a world where they buff Glaceon, but we may be heading to that, and it could be really bad. Espeon got buffs, and I think they're really solid, especially its defensive buffs, right? It just gives it more survivability. I like Espeon a lot in this meta. I think it's a great attacker, and I think we can even see it in competitive. I think it's really solid. Dragapult, solo Q demon. You won't see it in comp, but really strong solo Q. Decidueye with a little coordination is kind of broken. Like Spirit Shackle's insanely powerful, but with no coordination, you are a sitting bird and you get wrecked. Greninja, Venusaur, Cinderace. I think all of these Pokemon are varying levels of pretty dang good. I'm probably underrating Cinder on this tier list, maybe even Greninja. Like me personally, I love Greninja. I'm actually going to move Cinder up to the A tier. I just feel like it's been performing really well, and kind of all of its movesets are good right now, which is pretty cool. All right. We talked about a few of these. Mimikyu got buffs. I think it probably could have been A on my last tier list. This is the first Pokemon that I'm moving up to our S tier. I think Mimikyu is great. I think they buffed it. Basically every single part of its kit's good. I think you can run every build on it. The only one I don't love is Play Rough Trick Room. It doesn't like really have the synergy I think you would want. But everything else in this kit, like you could run Play Rough, Shadow Sneak, you could run Shadow Sneak, Shadow Claw, Claw, Trick Room. I think all of them are good. Mimikyu is good. And especially in solo queue, this thing's a demon. Char's pretty dang good. The only reason it's low, because it's probably closer to A tier. The only reason it's low is that there's another Charizard that's better. So what are you going to do? Metagross, I feel like is solid and a good pick if you're kind of like able to brawl throughout a match. They don't have an insane amount of burst. This thing is just really hard to destroy. Garchomp has not like been hurt too much even after its nerfs. Same thing with Cerulege. I like all of these, honestly. These are all good picks. Palmot, I think it's unfortunate they nerfed it, and I'm keeping it here for that reason. I think they nerfed it too much. They over-nerfed this thing. And it's not bad, but it used to be actually like really, really viable, and now I think it's just pretty good, like a pretty good choice. But I think they over-nerfed the Supercell Slam version, and they could probably buff the other version a little bit more. We've got Empoleon, I think is good. Maybe the level it should have been released at, maybe even slightly higher, but I think it's in a good spot. Zoroark is insane. Talon is really good. Scyther is really good. I like all of these speedsters right here. I think in ways they're all kind of like S tier, depending on what's happening in the match and what the comp looks like, but I think they're all fine here in the A tier. Lapras, Snorlax, Trevenant, Mamo, Umbreon, Crustle, all amazing defenders. I like them all for different reasons. I still think Umbreon might be one of the best things going in the game. It's crazy, man. This thing is nuts. I'm actually going to move Crustle up to our S tier. I think this thing is really strong, and I also think Umbreon is really strong. I like them both, but I'm splitting hairs here. Every defender in the game, even Goodra to an extent, they're all so unbelievably useful. To not have one on your team is crazy. Moving on with our supporters here. Psyduck, I think is really good, staying A. Eldy, quite good. Hoopa, quite good. Comfey. Comfey gets worse with the broken Pokemon being nerfed, but it's still insane. I'm going to move Clefable up to the S tier. And not because of the Draining Kiss buffs. I just think Clefable's crazy good. The healing is nuts. And yeah, I think we could see it competitively too, especially with kind of like, it feels like more team fighting happening lately. Mime got buffed a little while back. I like it up here. I think it's really strong. It kind of hangs out with these defenders, right? Like a really strong defender pick. Latios, still quite good, especially with Latias being so good. I like it. It's strong. Armarouge is really strong. I like it a lot. Miraidon feels like one of the best attacker picks and kind of the long-range attacker right now. Delphox, really good in solo queue. It doesn't seem to have really found a place competitively. It maybe never will. Mew kind of feels like the opposite to me. Not great in solo queue. Not that it's bad, but it's not like amazing, but stellar in competitive play. And you need a really high skill level to play this thing. Alolan Raichu is one of the best attackers going in the game right now. Although I don't think any of the attackers really feel like you have to ban them out. Like, not that you get draft, but I wouldn't be banning too many of them. In competitive, we see some of these catch bans, but moving on, all-rounders. Buzzwole, I think, is still amazing. So dang good. Really, really strong. I never see Dragonite, so I don't think it's fair for me to have it in the A tier. I just don't see it. No one's playing it. So I don't think it's fair to say it's like an A tier all rounder when it really doesn't get picked almost at all. And when it does, it's playing Outrage, which has some really strong matchups and some really weak matchups. The Hyper Beam build has been and maybe always will be the better build for this Pokemon, but I don't see it enough, so I have to move it down a tier just because it's hard to gauge its power level when no one plays it. Lucario is good. I think it's a solid place for it, especially if you're good with extreme speed. And then we have Zacian. I'm moving Zacian up to the S tier. Even though it was nerfed, it's actually just dummy good. This thing is so strong. Metal Claw's insane. Its like presence in lane is incredible, and it has good secure with its Unite. Zarina, I'm also moving up to S. I think with the other all-rounders getting nerfs, this thing is now once again, like I had it S, and then Megachar and Lucario like kind of took over everything. So I think it's back up into our S tier here. Dodrio is a tough one. I still think it's one of the best speedsters going, but I mean they directly nerfed one of its most powerful moves in 2 ways. So I might be overrating it, but I'm keeping it here for the time being. Slowbro, I'm going to move down a peg. I love Slowbro, but Slowbro becomes more and more valuable the more important it is to shut down a broken Pokemon. And it is still very important, but not as important. We talked about Clefable. Alchemy. I think Alchemy is kind of criminally underrated. It's really good. Recover is very powerful. Sweet Sense, very powerful. You even still get some decent value out of Decorate, depending on your build, your team's build, excuse me. But I think Alchemy is underrated, and I think Latias is crushing it. Latias is crushing it, or as the chat calls it, Latinas. Latinas are crushing it right now. Everybody loves Latinas. It's so strong. The buffs are so good. Almost every moveset is great on this. However, for me, Dragon Pulse, Dragon Cheer is clearly the best option, and it's so strong. Blaziken was in S tier last tier list for us, and that doesn't change. I think Blaze is an amazing all-rounder, and it's just it kind of does everything, which is pretty amazing. Draft tier. These all have to go to another tier because draft is gone. I think Darkrai, especially in like solo, duo, trio, hangs out in S. I think competitively we might see some Darkrai too. Really strong. Blissey, same thing, hanging out in our S tier. Extremely powerful support. Probably never won't be. Suicune stays being one of the best all-rounders in the entire game, and it just never seems to catch a nerf. You could actually buff its like lesser used movesets, but it never receives like important nerfs. And now we have Megaluca and Megachar. Both of these Pokemon are incredibly good. I'm keeping both of them in the S tier. However, both of them have received nerfs that bring them more down to earth. Megachar got the biggest nerf out of the patch, and it absolutely deserved it, but it did not make Megachar bad. Megachar is still extremely good. However, now I think it's kind of in line with a lot of the very, very good all-rounders that are in this game. Same thing with Megaluca. I think both of them are phenomenally powerful, but way more reasonable now. And let's add Dhelmise to our tier list. So, Dhelmise, our newest Pokemon added to the game, new all-rounder. I think one move set on Dhelmise is very good, or like one move, essentially. Power Whip is its best move. And then your other 2 moves, you could pick either one depending on enemy team comp, which is Anchor Shot or Heavy Slam. I think both of them are fine. Anchor Shot is probably better. Heavy Slam, if they tweaked Heavy Slam just slightly, like slight range, slight like wind up and cast time or something like that, I actually think that move would be unbelievably powerful. There are just some enemy team comps you can't play it in, and then same thing with Anchor Shot. There are sometimes that's not that valuable either. In general, I think this is a solid release, but it could use some tuning up to multiple parts of its kit. I'm going to say this hangs out kind of right down here in our high B, low A. I think it's also evident that with some of the Pokemon in this game, if they're not like very, very simple to use, the community has trouble making them work. But I've had really great success with Dhelmise. So I think this is a fair place to put it. But if you wanted to argue that it's maybe closer to some of the Pokemon here, I think that would be fine. And the biggest argument that I agree is really valid for Dhelmise is that some of its kit is bad. Like Whirlpool is straight up awful. And Heavy Slam needs some love. And overall, like, its Unite move could also use, like, I think you could slightly tweak this thing in a few different areas to make it a very relevant, like, A tier all-rounder. So for me, it's either like high B, low A, or B tier right here. And both of them, I think, are pretty fair for this Pokemon. Now, it's time to award my God tier. And I've been going back and forth on this in my head, but I kind of love when a Pokemon like this is doing so well. So I'm giving our God tier of this patch to Latias. One of my favorite Pokemon to play in the meta currently. I love this thing. No one likes picking supports, and they've actually made one that is a support, very much so, especially with Dragon tier, but is also kind of like a sustain harasser with your Dragon Pulse. And now that you get it at 4, you actually get your stacks in this game. You can run EXP share no problem and still be very impactful in so many fights. I love Latias right now. Rest in peace to the draft tier, because who knows when we're going to get draft games. But that's what I'm thinking the meta kind of looks like right now. And in general, like, some things are different for solo queue as opposed to competitive. I like to make a general tier list on what the game overall feels like for most of the players, which is going to be solo, duo, trio, and some like non-super insane 5 stacks. Once you get into the highest level, the players who are playing at LAIC, those are times where someone could say, no, we have a great strategy around Tyranitar, Cramorant, Tinkaton, something like that, and get insane value out of it. Whereas I think they're a little harder to get in most of your games. As always, let me know what you like. Let me know what you agree with. Let me know what you disagree with. What Pokemon do you think is in our God tier? Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. I will be in Brazil for LAIC. If you're there, come say hi. Otherwise, check out the live broadcast. Make sure you throw some yeehaws in the chat and show some love. Boy, I couldn't get through that sentence. Shub, 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 shabba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-boo. Shabba-dabba.